Good day, everyone. My name is Kyra Vivas, your discussant for today, and let's have some legal knowledge with me. So, let's talk about the paternity and filiation. Let's begin with Chapter 1 Legitimate Children. Article 163 The filiation of children may be by nature or by adoption. Natural filiation may be legitimate or illegitimate. So in here, when you are adopted and the process of the adoption is through legal process, you may consider as legitimate child. Next one, Article 164, children conceived or born during the marriage of the parents are legitimate. Dito naman, if your both parents are married, then you are legitimate child. In Article 165, children conceived and born outside a valid marriage are illegitimate unless otherwise provided in this code. So dito naman sa Article 165, kapag ang magulang ng bata ay hindi kasal or ang bata ay anak sa labas, nakukonsider pa rin nilang ito as legitimate. Article 166, legitimacy of a child may be impugned only on the following grounds. So kapag sinabi nating impugned, ito ay contradict. So ano nga ba yung mga rason na ito? First, that it was physically impossible for the husband to have sexual intercourse with his wife within the first 120 days of the 300 days which immediately preceded the birth of the child because of A. The physical incapacity of the husband to have sexual intercourse with his wife. If the doctor said that the husband is in incapacity to do sexual intercourse and then ang babae ay hindi mabubuntis. So it means, kapag nabuntis ito, ang bata ay makukonsider na illegitimate. Next is the fact that the husband and wife were living separately in such a way that sexual intercourse was not possible. So dito naman, kung hindi naman nagsasama ang mag-asawa sa iisang bubong, like for example, yung isa ay, or yung husband is OFW, so impossible na mabubuntis ang kanyang wife, right? The next one is serious illness of the husband which absolutely prevented sexual intercourse. So like for example nito na sakit is HIV or yung isa naman is baog. The next one is that is proof for that biological or other scientific reasons the child could not have been that of the husband except in the instance provided in the second paragraph of Article 164, or that in case of children conceived through artificial insemination, the written authorization or ratification of either parent was obtained through mistake, fraud, violence, intimidation, or undue influence. So in this case, kung babae hindi naman ginusto ang kanyang pagbubuntis, or siya ay nabuntis dahil sa rape, pananakot, kaya ito nabuo, or it was a mistake, it cannot be legitimate. In Article 167, the child shall be considered legitimate although the mother may have declared against its legitimacy or may have been sentenced as an adulteress. So dito naman, the child still legitimate kahit hindi ito gusto ng nanay or kahit i-deny niya pa ito. Dahil meron naman tayong scientific way para malaman kung ma-deny niya ang bata, which is yung DNA. Pero katulad nga ng sinabi ko sa number 3, kapag ang mga rason ng nanay ay napasok doon, maaaring maging illegitimate ito. In Article 168, if the marriage is terminated and the mother contracted another marriage within 300 days after such termination of the former marriage, these rules shall govern in the absence of proof to the contrary. Number 1. A child born before 180 days after the solemnization of the subsequent marriage is considered to have been conceived during the former marriage, provided it be born within 300 days after the termination of the former marriage. Number 2. A child born after 180 days following the celebration of the subsequent marriage is considered to have been conceived during such marriage, even though it be born within 300 days after the termination of the former marriage. So dito, kapag ang bata ay pinanganak before 130 days bago ma-terminate ang kasal, ay makukonsider pa rin siya as legitimate child. So in this Article 169, it has same explanation with the Article 168. So mag-proceed na tayo sa Article 170. So in Article 170, the action to impugn the legitimacy of the child shall be brought within 1 year from the knowledge of the birth or its recording in the civil register. If the husband or, in a proper case, any of his heirs should reside in the city or municipality where the birth took place or was recorded. Dito, kung gusto ng husband na ma-impugn na pagiging legitimate ng kanyang anak, dapat dumaan sila sa proper case at dapat may mga patunay na ito ay pwedeng maging illegitimate. In Article 171, the heirs of the husband may impugn the filiation of the child within the period prescribed in the preceding article only in the following cases. 1. If the husband should die before the expiration of the period fixed for bringing his action. 2. If he should die after the filing of the complaint without having desisted therefrom. Or 3. If the child was born after the death of the husband. So in short, kapag ang husband ay namatay na bago pa ipanganak ang bata, siya ay makukonsider as illegitimate. And now let's proceed to the chapter 2, proof of filiation. In Article 172, the filiation of legitimate children is established by any of the following. 1. The record of birth appearing in the civil register or a final judgment. Or 2. An admission of legitimate filiation in a public document or a private handwritten instrument and signed by the parent concerned. If kulang ang ebidensya para mapatunayan ng isang bata ay legitimate, hindi ito makukonsider na legitimate child. In Article 173, the action to claim legitimacy may be brought by the child during his or her lifetime and shall be transmitted to the heirs should the child die during minority or in a state of insanity. In these cases, the heirs shall have a period of 5 years within which to institute the action. Ang pagiging legitimate ng bata ay maaari niyang madala hanggang siya ay magkaanak, magkaapo at siya ay mamatay. And now let's talk about the Chapter 3, Illegitimate Children. In Article 175, illegitimate children may be established their illegitimate filiation in the same way and on the same evidence as legitimate children. The action must be brought within the same period specified in Article 173, except when the action is based on the second paragraph of Article 172, in which case the action may be brought during the lifetime of the alleged parent. In Article 176, illegitimate children shall use the surname and shall be under the parental authority of their mother, and shall be entitled to support in conformity with this code. The legitimate of each legitimate child shall consist of one half of a legitimate child, except for this modification. All other provisions in civil code governing successional rights shall remain in force. So for these two article, ang legitimate na bata ay maaaring gamitin ang apelyido ng kanyang ina. And now let's proceed to the last chapter, which is legitimated children. In Article 177, only children conceived and born outside of wedlock of parents who at the time of the conception of the former were not disqualified by any impediment to marry each other may be legitimated. So dito, legitimated pa din ang bata kahit pinanganak siya na hindi kasal ang kanyang parents. In Article 178, legitimation shall take place by a subsequent valid marriage between parents. The annulment of a viable marriage shall not affect the legitimation. Kung ang mag-asawa ay annulled na, hindi dapat mawawala ang pagiging legitimated ng isang bata. In Article 179, legitimated children shall enjoy the same right as legitimate children. And this right include health, freedom, right to participate in all matters, right to be protected, or in any form of violence and discrimination. Article 180, the effects of legitimation shall retroact to the time of the child's birth. In Article 181, the legitimation of children who died before the celebration of the marriage shall benefit their descendants. And last, Article 182, legitimation may be impugned only by those who are prejudiced in their right within 5 years from the time their cause of actions occurs. So here, kapag ang bata ay against sa kanyang pagiging legitimated at against din ito sa kanyang karapatan, maaaring mapawalang bisa ang kanyang pagiging legitimate child. That's all for my report. Thank you for listening.